We got 1900, call meeting to order, first order of business is flag salute.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, changes to the agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda.
Okay, do you have a second? 1 second. Second to amend the agenda.
The motion is the termination of employment of fire chief.
Okay. We have a motion and second on the floor. Any comments?
The whole point to the fire chief is, as the employee, we have to hold them in the highest operational administrative position in the organization. It's therefore held to higher standards of performance and attitude than other employees. And with most cases of misconduct committed by an employee at this level, either counseling or discharge would be warranted, and intermediate levels of disciplinary action would be rare. Whereas the board has been confronted with misconduct that does not warrant counseling and which warrants immediate discharge for cause misconduct, which include and is but not limited to intentional or repeated failure to comply with legal requirements, commission of acts of fraud, dishonesty, misappropriation of funds, immoral conduct, and other misconduct in the rendering of services on behalf of CRFR. Repeated discourteous treatment of employees, subordinates, volunteers, and the public, and failure to comply with refusal to faithfully, diligently, and effectively perform duties and basic job requirements. Whereas Medina has been subject to votes of no confidence by employees, which votes are based on voluminous instances of documented gross mismanagement and misconduct by Medina. And whereas the board has no confidence in the ability of Medina to faithfully, diligently, and effectively lead CRFR. My CRFR in that Medina chief immediately be discharged from duties here at the fire chief, and the Thunder Fire and Rescue is terminated for cause of pregnancy.
I'm sorry, any other comments? Sorry, Gary.
Director Welby, could you define for cause for me?
For cause, I would say,
I think I voted no confidence.
I didn't ask you. Thank you.
I think the most no confidence, obviously, and I would also say the fact that.
Excuse me, no. What's for cause? What is the term for cause mean?
I'm really nervous right now. I'm not a real big public speaker. So if you could point to which part that I read, then I would gladly answer you.
For cause, what does, take any example, tell me what for cause is. I want you to define for cause. You're terminating a pension.
Only out of the dictionary.
No, he doesn't. That's true. But if you can't define it, it isn't what for cause is.
I think you can look out. I think you can look out.
Are you gonna let me answer it?
Let's-
Or are you gonna interrupt me every time?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Hang on. My turn. Let's let each person speak. This is not It's not easy for anybody, or anything like this, but let's also be civil, absolutely respectful and courteous. Absolutely. Is we clear? We got it. Let's go.
Mr. Welk, what does for cause?
I would say that the ominous complaints that I've heard and I've read,
Ominous complaints? I would put this to any of the board members. Were you conscious and awake before we talked, we listened to the two attorneys last board meeting?
Yes, I was.
What do you suppose the consequences might be of not being able to sustain accusation of for cause?
I would say this vote of no confidence entails for cause. I think you can look out on the face on all the firefighters out there.
Then I guess I would put this to the three board members. I said this to Mr. Welby when we met, when we had a discussion. So my feeling was that you guys have been, it appears, I'm not saying this is true, but it appears you guys have been bought and paid for by.
Hey, come on.
The same thing applies. Let's be courteous and respectful.
It looks like you're doing the bidding of one segment of the people that you're supposed to represent.
I think I represent the entire community. And I believe in my heart that I'm doing the right thing.
And the 80% of the people that voted for him.
Hey,
So you can't establish a real court cause there. And you haven't done anything to dissuade you from thinking that it.
so I would say repeated discourteous.
You haven't done anything to dissuade anyone that thinks that you've been bought and paid for, to come away from that,
You can believe it. My turn? Okay, I would say repeated discourteous treatment of employees, subordinates, volunteers, and public. And then if you want to, we can go through this vote of no confidence, we can go through the new vote of no confidence. I'm fine with that.
I'm sorry that, you serve, or you should be serving in
The
that
community, I believe I'm serving.
Let finish.
Okay, that's fine.
We can do this today. We're adults.
I think you're, if you recall what one of the attorneys had said, and I particularly, I can't remember John's name from SCAO. What are the ramifications of them, deciding to not provide insurance for us and not support us? If we do something that is so egregious against the bylaws that they don't want to give us insurance. What do you think it's going to be like on the open market to purchase insurance?
I will say, I believe in my heart that we are doing the right thing for the community.
Yeah, one of the things that I've read in both the vote of no confidence in the amendment, that was what it did, is that there are a lot of allegations. And I think before you terminate someone's employment, you probably want more than allegations. And that's all that's it. So, I mean, there's gonna be, a court case coming up. Currently, SDA is providing the legal services for. Hopefully, continue to do follow through with this. And they'll answer a lot of questions, I think. And I think the patience is reasonable in this case.
I didn't bring up anything about court case. Okay, keep on.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I got something to say. I'm glad you listened to it.
Right.
Okay, so, once again, I guess, if you recall, the SDA attorney saying that essentially we're providing a $10 million gift to somebody.
This executive session? What was said in executive?
Let's,
This is not time for public comment.
Well, I am.
No, that's not possible. No, but that was very responsible. That's it. No, that's not, that's not. Okay. All right, so. Is that really your intent to make someone wealthy?
I would say, I can say that I believe that, I think this is gonna be the best thing for the district in the long run. I think we have a lot of unhappy employees. I think some mistakes have been made. And I think this will be the best thing in the long run for the district. And then I believe I'm doing the right thing in my heart. Like I said, I mean no disrespect to anybody. I mean no disrespect to you. I do believe I'm doing the right thing, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to you. I'm sorry if I spoke over you. That wasn't my intention. But like I said, I do think what he's doing here is probably the right thing for this district, or is the right thing for this district. No problem. Bye.
Oh, okay. To choose to go against the advice of the council is a pretty dangerous road to go down. And I think that, we really think long and hard about this. I think that what you've got is a special category of people that are very dissatisfied. What I wonder is whether it's this dissatisfaction comes from. Because if you read the vote of no confidence in the amendment, you would think that there was frequent interaction between the chief and the firefighters. And that the chief initiated that. What I'm kind of curious about is that most of the time, I try to find the chief is in his office. And I haven't seen very many firefighters come to. And the ones that I have stop in and say hi. And as far as, unanimous vote of confidence, you ever been in the union? Well, yes, you have. I would, how many times in a vote of no confidence that has anybody stood up and says, no, I'm not.
I've never been in a vote.
Well, I have. And it's, and I tell you what, people, I know people who, maybe not voted their conscience, but they've gone with the flow. And that's okay. But in this case, there's a lot of allegations. Very little substantiation.
I'll say, sorry.
The one thing I really want to hang my hat on is this idea of financial malfeasance. And just a basic reading of the timelines would give you an indication that perhaps the person who took the information about fiscal malfeasance, the district attorney, and the state police are investigating and seem to consider the information that they've got. Am I going too far?
No, that's public record.
Consider. I'll leave it.
Thank you.
And until that's resolved, I think that allegation is really something you don't want to say. But that's okay. You're voted to serve the public, and if your public is more than this room, then that's great. It's not, really, I feel sorry for it.
I'll also say, I feel like he's personally, when the board meeting on June 30th, when I tried to go and I was talking to you, remember that? And Chief Medina came out and he tried to say that wasn't what Smythe said. That was 100% what Smythe was telling me the day before. Like, oh yeah, come on in. This will be a good meeting. He tried to say that wasn't what Smythe said. So to my face, I don't know if he was making it up or thought I heard something, but he was not there in the conversation with Smythe. So I will stand on any kind of witness stand and say that that was exactly what Chief Smythe said when we had that conversation.
Yeah, because after you got that I asked you my opinions, you encouraged me to keep the penis. Now, I'm not saying, I don't think anybody, I don't think anybody's lying. But you can see how difficult communication is.
I was put from Smythe.
All I'm saying is that isn't what Chief Smythe felt that he could communicate.
Okay.
And I wasn't part of the conversation, because I can't do that. But I am part of this one, and I can say that I think this is, I think this is really foolish.
What would you say?
I've talked to, I don't know how many people. I've reached out to attorneys based on, Acom Blitz's, gave me his personal phone number. And I called the guy. I followed through with every single person I've talked to. I've talked to you. I'm pretty sure I was the only board member that met you. You asked in the public forum, anybody who wants to hear, reach out to you and you got glad to sit down and we did that, right?
Yeah.
I've talked to, Gordon Dunkel. He asked me about, the board policies and procedures. I said, I don't know, never got those. You didn't get those at the first board meeting? And I said, no. And he was like, I'm shocked. And that's exact words. So I talked with him and I've talked to, I don't know how many other people who are literally at the end of the day, they're scared of retaliation and they're afraid for their jobs. To the point where people are leaving and more people are leaving and that's what I'm basing this on. I just, at the end of the day, if you feel this is the right thing.
Well, if there's retaliation, there's a process.
Who's the HR?
There's a process. There's a chain of command. You don't understand what a chain of command
I
is.
do understand that.
Okay,
Who's the HR?
So, it's very interesting that in this, for instance, this amendment. If those things are accurate and substantiated, then maybe there's something there. But at this point, if someone was to put that on a piece of paper, that, I was, a robber and, a serial killer. Should I be, removed from the board because somebody said that?
I agree.
You agree what? That I should be removed if someone says that?
No, that's not what I'm saying, is I don't think you should be removed. I think that you should be put on leave.
Yeah.
Pending some kind of, this is kind of asinine, or excuse my French. This is kind of ridiculous. I understand your analogies and what you're trying to say. However, I'm telling you, I feel that this is the right thing to do based on the ominous amount of people that I've talked to. I feel that this is the decision that needs to be made. And there's nothing you're gonna say that's gonna change it.
I could tell them, so, but I guess I would ask is that, the number of people that you've talked to, how many of them there are there that are not firefighters relatives, or firefighters friends? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many voters are there in our district?
Right, 8,000.
You're up a little bit.
People, the public doesn't, the general public, I don't think that they care about the details at all. They hear bad stuff, bad things, and that's why they want to change.
Well, in your 5 weeks here, that's, you feel it.
I agree, but I have got.
Well, that is a lot of information, and it seems like maybe a lot of it from just kind of one segment of the population. And I think you might find that the public at large kind of likes to have a balanced budget and likes to be able to see the future for the department. And I think that, you're going about the wrong way. And I think, you really maybe listen a little bit more and get a little bit more educated. It might be a benefit to you and to the public. I'm just, Director Slade. You have any comments?
Yes, I do. I have to support this. As a past employee and member of this department, this is the worst I've seen this department since my starting in the early nineties. This is the lowest morale, lowest, everything here under Medina. You know, we had a budget when I left in 2019 where we didn't have to borrow money, that we were not having to use TANs anymore. In fact, the TANs account got closed. And now suddenly, 2 years in, we're a couple $1 million in the hole. We gotta borrow money. I listened to Medina on January meeting, where he blamed everything on the board. He stood there and told the board, it's your guys' fault. When he's the custodian of the budget, he's the one that made the budget, it's his budget, but he never once took responsibility or said that he made a mistake. It was everybody else's fault. And it was the board's fault. And TANs have been taken away from me, even though that was voted on to close those accounts when he was chief. He's lied so many times. He's lied to public meetings. He's lied about the cost of the admin remodel. He's ruined the public's confidence in him and my confidence in him as chief personally. So I have a hard time disputing that.
Well, then you must have proof then.
Yeah.
Well, then let's bring it forward so that we can actually have, some substantiated information to make a decision on.
Yeah.
But, it seems to me that there's a forensic audit going on. And it's going to go through this year. But it's been primarily focused on previous years. And, I voted on the TAN. And, what I had been told was that they were no longer necessary. And I thought that was great. And no longer being necessary means that we had about $1.5 million carryover. But you know what we had when it came push to shove I'm going to say late spring, because I don't recall the exact date. You know what we found to our surprise? We found out that we were going to have, on a wing and a prayer, we might be able to make September's payment. But we were really, really concerned about making October's payment. Now you think about that. So if we had, indeed, we had $2 million at the time, we got rid of the TANs. Then boy, there should be really something to show for it. There either should be a yacht in every mortgage in the country for somebody, or there should be a palace being built on a hill somewhere. But the fact of the matter is, if you listen to two of the CPAs so far, and I'm certain that you guys all have better information than the CPAs do, and probably more training to be able to decide where the money went. And if you can, bring it forward, because that would help substantiate the allegations we make. Because right now, all they are is allegations. They're MSU, made stuff up.
We had a budget that worked in 2019, didn't borrow money. 2020, under Hope, didn't have to borrow money. First year of Medina here with Merritt here, we didn't have to borrow money. Merritt leaves, Hope does a budget, or Medina does a budget. Now we're short money. What happened the 3 years before?
We had TANs.
No, we didn't. We weren't using the TANs. The TANs account hadn't been used for 3 years. That's why it was voted to close it.
Well, I tell you what, there's gonna be a forensic accounting, as well as, our CPA has spoken to it. And,
If you guys have that much fiscal savvy, I'm looking forward to working with you.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be tough accommodating, because I can see kind of a cascade effect going here. The chief, it would be nice to get rid of the chief, and it would probably be nice to get rid of somebody else. And then it would be nice to get rid of somebody else. But would that happen to be any three people who are on the amended vote of no confidence? Because if you do that, and it's as flimsy as these unsubstantiated allegations are, we're gonna owe, well, probably in excess of $10 million to those three people. And You know what? When we don't have any insurance coverage because of your actions tonight, then you know where they go they're looking for? Your jobs, your homes, and your retirement. Those are both yes. So, go ahead.
Yeah. Extortion.
Glad roll the dice. I like gambling.
Yeah.
Substantial.
So. Okay. As we've talked, we've all had conversations. I say it for myself, I've struggled with this for a long time because I was part of that board. I've been part of this board for the last 6 years. Some of the things that, Director Hudson has said tonight are accurate. He is not wrong. I don't care what analogy or what people want to sit and say that, he's not wrong. Most of you don't know that because it's things that were in executive session and some of those things have come out a little bit, and so what if they did, that's on me. But it's one of the reasons that I called for previously for putting the chief of administrative leave, because how much liability do we accept as the board going down the path of doing nothing? And then the other hand of doing something like this, we realize that we're looking at we're bleeding edge of the double-edged sword. Understand that. As like I said, with Director Hudson, we've been told there are some things that there's consequences for our actions either way. And they're not gonna be pretty. And with the budget and the stuff we've been given, the ramifications are, they will run very deep.
I don't think we're gonna have firefighters for them.
That's it. You know, we've sat there and I don't think we're gonna have some either way. I mean, that's looking at what we've been presented, that's the reality. So what about what we currently face? Is there any other comments from the board?
I know that there's people that are afraid of their jobs of retaliation. It's been going around. I also know that Medina's promised the volunteers low SAP money and operating budget for the last 2 years. It hasn't given them any. They haven't got low SAP contribution for 2 years. They haven't got an operating budget for 2 years. It's in their meeting minutes. Several meetings where he's promised to give them their operating budget. He hasn't done it. There's just so many things, Kelly, that add up that it's hard.
So, and Rick, I would say to this, that you've been part of those sessions where we've heard that there are some legitimate reasons as to why some of those things are being held up. And I know that you were part of those discussions. You don't remember, you were told a couple of those things. Or I will say, at least I was, and I do understand that. I just, like I said,
You know, Kerry Blacker resigned.
I do know that, but that's neither here nor there for tonight. I am aware of that. Any further comments from the board?
Yeah.
So. We have a little. We're going on over here because we have a little housekeeping to do on this. So the original motion and second on the floor was to amend the agenda. Which we're a little past that, so we're gonna back up here. So I think we've had enough discussion on that. All in favor of amending the agenda, signify by saying aye.
Hey.
So we've already met the agenda, and we've gone through this. And now, got a resolution here. I need a motion for a resolution.
Was a motion for resolution,
Please read out the number.
resolution FY -23-24-02.
Do I get a second? We have a motion and a second on the floor for resolution FY 23-24-02. Any further discussion?
Yeah.
Director Hudson.
This isn't a situation that's a crime. But it has some of the touches of Trump. And, one of the things you don't do is you don't convict someone on hearsay. And so far, I've heard a lot of allegations, but I haven't seen anything substantial. So if that's the way this board wants to play the game, I think it's going to be very expensive for the district. And that's all that's it.
And yeah, and so yeah, so one of the things that I try and think of when I sit here and make decisions and things like that, and not all the decisions that we've made on board and kind of reason is, are what we're doing is what's best for the people that we serve. That's the whole thing. I'm not asking for an agreement, people, please. Like I said, going down this road has some serious ramifications for the people that elected us to be looking to be their voice and be what's best for them. Any other comments? Right. I have a motion and a second on the floor for resolution FY 23-24-02.
Can we read the motion, please? Out loud?
That's what he already read. I can read it again.
I'd like that.
Okay. So, this is resolution FY 23-24-02, termination of employment of fire chief. Whereas this matter came before the board of directors, hereinafter signified as the board of Plum River Fire and Rescue, CRFR, at its regular meeting on August 8th, 2023. Whereas Joel Medina, here I'm referred to as Chief Medina, is the fire chief of CRFR. Whereas Chief Medina is employed by CRFR under a contract dated January 12th, 2021. Whereas Chief Medina, pursuant to his contract with CRFR, is an at-will employee who can be terminated at any time with or without cause, with nothing in his contract to be interpreted as changing his status as an at-will employee. Whereas Chief Medina, pursuant to his contract with CRFR, is in the highest operational and administrative position in the organization and is therefore held to higher standards of performance and attitude than other employees. And with most cases of misconduct committed by an employee at this level, either counseling or discharge would be warranted and immediate levels of disciplinary action would be rare. Whereas the board has been confronted with misconduct that does not warrant counseling and which warrants immediate discharge for cause, misconduct which includes but is not limited to the following. A, intentional or repeated failure to comply with legal requirements. B, commission of acts of fraud, dishonesty, misappropriation of funds, immoral conduct, and other misconduct in the rendering of services on behalf of CRFR. C, repeated discourteous treatment of employees, subordinates, volunteers, and the public. And D, failure to comply with or refusal to faithfully, diligently, and effectively perform his duties and basic job requirements. Whereas Chief Medina has been the subject of 2 votes of no confidence by his employees, which votes are based on voluminous instances of documented gross mismanagement and misconduct by Chief Medina. And whereas the board has no confidence in the ability of Chief Medina to faithfully, diligently, and effectively lead CRFR. Now, therefore, it is hereby resolved that Joel Medina is discharged from his duties as the fire chief and his employment with Thunder River Fire Rescue is terminated for cause effective immediately. Adopted this 8th day of August, 2023, and there is a signature lines for the board. That is the resolution.
That's public record. That's good.
Correct.
You guys, all got all finances all squared away?
Just
I'm concerned, pretty, and as well as being concerned for this district. I've been involved with this district for over 50 years now. And,
that's enough.
and you know, from a volunteer firefighter to board of directors, pretty much everything in between. But this little action here puts the district in more danger than I've imagined. But you've heard my take, so let's get on. Yeah. By the way, I will not submit if it passes.
All right. Hearing other comments? A motion a second on the floor for resolution FY-23-24-02. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Abstain. Motion carries.
I have a question. Kelly, you're abstaining under what grounds?
Actually, like I said, I think you should be on administrative leave. I think this is going to harm.
Then that requires a vote from you. Choose a side, Jerry. I mean, Kelly, choose a side and make a vote.
The vote's already been passed and that's already been gone through.
Okay.
So. You need to turn in your punch card, keys, and all access to district property.
Will do.
Return that into you.
As one.
This is effective immediately.
Will do.
All right, next on the agenda. Jeff Griffin. The agenda? Hang on, Josh.
I can propose, amend the agenda.
That badge and shirt.
We have a motion and a second to change the agenda. All in favor? Sorry, I didn't say that. Go ahead.
Resolution number FY-23-24-03 to be the appointment of interim fire chief.
Motion, right?
Okay, so
Yeah.
this would be,
You want a motion first?
yes, it is.
Yeah, give me a second. I'll second. Okay, motion and second, continue.
Okay, so this matter came before the board of directors of the Thunder River Fire and Rescue at its regular meeting on August 8th, where Tim Medina was employed by CRFR as its fire chief, whereas CRFR terminated the employment of Medina on August 8th, 2023, whereas CRFR required the services of the fire chief, and whereas Mike Gorsuch consents to the appointment as interim fire chief, now therefore. It is hereby resolved that Mike Gorsuch is appointed as interim fire chief of CRFR effective immediately, and during his time as interim fire chief, he shall receive the same compensation and employee benefits package as Medina had at CRFR. And it is further resolved that the fire chief position at CRFR shall be posted and applications for the positions shall be solicited in accordance with ORS 478-260. Adopted this 8th day of August 2023.
Okay, we have a motion and second on the floor, for resolution FY-23-24-03 to basically appoint, retiring chief Mike Gorsuch as the interim fire chief. Discussion. Comments.
Seems y'all came well prepared. Oh, I'd like to be recognized, though, Chair.
No, go ahead.
You guys came well prepared. It almost looks like y'all got together and, cooked this thing up, with some assistance because given the, speech that I've heard so far, I mean, it sounds like maybe someone else wrote this for y'all. Did someone else write this for you?
Yeah.
So did you guys, were you guys in agreement with this then?
I think Chief Gorsuch would be good.
Were you guys in agreement with this then? Huh?
I wasn't.
Oh, okay. I'm just saying, you know, typically, in my experience, if it looks like a duck, it flies like a duck, it flies like a duck. It's a duck.
Yeah.
And, if you guys think this doesn't look like collusion, when you come, prepared like this, and it appears that, you had someone else write this, which is kind of embarrassing. Another nail. But not for me, for the district, and for you all.
Any comments from the board? All right, and motion second for FY-23-24-03, appointment of interim fire chief. Hearing no other comments, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
I was like, to make a comment before making it public. That's what it's gonna do that.
Go ahead. Voting is not closed.
Given as we need some leadership, I have nothing with my culture. Yeah, I will vote for him to be the interim chief. But good luck, it will stink up this whole thing for you guys. So I vote aye for, interim chief Mike Gorsuch.
Okay, resolution carries 5-0. You said, yeah. Thank you for sticking around.
My pleasure. To work for you. So, this was scheduled to be about an hour. You're already pretty deep into the meeting, so I want you to know I can come another time or I can stay and do this. It's up to you. So I'm happy to do it, happy to come back. Let me know what your pleasure is.
I think in light of what's taking place, I would like you to come back. But I have a feeling that we're gonna have to have a special meeting coming up here like next week or sometime sooner. I think it's probably in the board's best interest.
I'm available now. Next week I go to FRI with the International from Kansas City. But after that, I'm back home and my cell phone's always good. prefer to work through one or two people just so that it's consistent. But, my job's to do my best to make sure that each of you get home safe and sound. My firefighters, which are my primary passion, I want them home safe and sound. So what I'd suggest, let's do a couple of these if we can. This was kind of an onboarding piece, not an attorney. I'm not gonna give you legal advice, but I'm gonna give you risk management advice. Where I see problems with boards, where my firefighters get hurt. And one of the trainings I'd like to do would be directly with them. If you're looking at the numbers just recently, they say it comes out in June, NFPA, posts their fatality report. It really comes out at the end of July. It's just now out. And fatalities across the country are starting to spike. So I'd like to, sit down and talk to our firefighters where they're getting injured, how they're getting injured. But also I want to make sure that I'm always available for each of you to make sure they get home safe and sound. Coach as best I can. Again, this is not legal. This is where we see problems, in the industry. I'm always happy to help any way that I can. Thank you. And if you can, give me at least 20-minute notice, because I have to come up from Eugene. I'm never there. I'm always on the road, so 20 minutes is more important. And, I'll plan on next month and whenever, if that sounds good.
Thank you. Jeff, do we have your contact info here?
Let me give it to you. My cell phone is 541-954-5707. And it's been 24/7. If you call after 1 a.m., you gotta give me a minute to wake up. But we take calls always, so feel free to call. And, you know how it goes. This is worth, just so you know, what you're walking away from tonight. 2% off on your insurance. It's an SDO, 2%, you get 10% on, best practice. And actually, I'm not here representing my agency. I'm here, representing OFDDA and SDAO. So, have you back for the end of the year, and you get 2% off, and then we'll work with staff to get the other 8%.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Be safe, everybody.
Do you want these back to hand out next time or?
No, keep those. I promise if you have insomnia, this will fix it. And we'll do something different next time we come back. Thank you.
Okay. Well, Jeff, grabbing the stuff there, public comment, I have, first up on the agenda, on the mail. And then while she's getting ready, Kate, was there anybody else online or anything that we have, anybody else besides the three that's on the agenda?
No.
Thank you.
First, I wanted to tell you that all 5 board members have equal power and 20% of the vote. Elected officers do not have any more power or vote than the other 4 members. All 5 of you combined have been elected by the taxpayers to hire and supervise a fire chief, make and follow policies, and you also hold the keys to the financial well-being of the district. The new business draft July meeting minutes are not correct. Director Zimberg asked about why Medina's CRFR vehicle was parked at Hans Feige's office July 6th, and he asked for an explanation. Sanchez stated it was a budget document missed in a pile of signatures or something else, and he wasn't sure. Director Zimberg asked for Sanchez to tell him to look into it. Sanchez did not state that a resolution was signed as printed in the draft minutes. I recommend you guys correct those prior to approval, because whatever you sign and put into the books is forever. So I wonder if it was actually the lawsuit, because on the same day, July 6, 2023, when Director Zimbrick was told that a vehicle from CRFR was at Hans Feige's office, a lawsuit was filed. And CRFR was the plaintiff in a quiet title complaint against Boise Cascade Corporation, case number 23CZB 2727261. I believe the plaintiff, CRFR, gave false information in the legal document stating that CRFR has used the property more than once per year, every single year from 1989 to 2023 for firefighting training. This lawsuit was filed under this board's fiscal year. So I think you're accountable for what was filed anything after July. So I'm not sure if you're aware of it, but did this board make the decision to file that complaint? I have asked for public records for the training records for that site, and I'm being ignored. So when we're told by a director that we're just making statements, I've asked for lots of public records and reviewed, and they're denied, ignored. So I think as board members, you need to know if you have been entered into a lawsuit making statements that are true. I think if any Columbia River firefighter comes up and makes a statement, please tell us if you've been out there training on it every year, at least once a year. Did this administration provide training records proving their use? Can the firefighters present tonight attest to using it? I've had public records requests be ignored or pretend they don't understand what I'm requesting, including the Boise Corp lawsuit. Boards of the supervisors of the fire chief and the taxpayers' dollars. I want to know why the board is not requiring the release of public records to taxpayers and citizens. Why the board allowed the release of records to a reporter from the Oregonian, which were denied to citizens. Did the Oregonian reporter complete a public records request, or was she sought out and given this information in an attempt to cause harm? Why isn't the administrative office opened to the public during office hours as put on the board, put on the door, or the telephone answered when it rings? Since Medina's not here, these are some other things that I think a director thinks that making statements about others in the Oregonian is just fine, and somehow that's not hearsay. So I've done a public complaint to the board about that. I want to know what CRFR is going to rectify this smear campaign against me as a citizen who's never worked here. The vote of no confidence was never discussed in a public meeting, and now that it's been revised, is that going to be discussed? Like, how are you going to handle that? There's some things that don't apply since the chief is no longer here. Is this board planning on scheduling a meeting with the DA's office and OSP to find out the truth? I have some issues with the forensic audit. Where is the proof that Mother Way has withdrawn her funds from PERS as stated in page 11? Where is the proof that Nelson requested to withdraw her PERS funds on page 12? If Mother Way and Nelson prove this information to be false, is this the reason to terminate all that provided false information to the auditor? Is CRFR responsible for the forensic audit bill if this information proves to be false? Has the board considered how much more risk they're willing to take while all of these are going on without any proof? Is this board aware that every increase in pay for each position needs to be approved by the board? The union has a contract which has been highly debated, and the fire chief has a contract. How did the administrative staff receive pay increases if it's not in the board meeting minutes? So in the history, it usually states either all admin gets CPIU as this, or that should be in your minutes. And I don't see anything like that in the past. So I'm not sure how there's been some 12% increases, and where did that come from? Did the board pre-approve to pay for moving expenses for 2 chiefs moving from Florida? And if not, please collect these paid expenses from their payroll. Medina and Sanchez's prior Florida employers provided public records that are attached to the vote of no confidence. Sanchez's credentials do not appear to match the credentials released to CRFR staff upon his hiring. Did Medina not tell the truth about Sanchez's credentials when hiring him at CRFR? Did Smythe know the credentials were false when he sent a CRFR wide email introducing him as the new DC of Finance? Does the board know if the credentials of Sanchez are valid for placing him in command of emergency scenes and or performing financial duties for a multi-million-dollar government entity? Who approved hiring Sanchez and paying him double the budget figure of $70,000? All the past CRFR finance administrators have completed the annual budget. Why is CRFR paying an outside company to complete the budget? Finally, I want to address Board Member Hudson's statements about using titles. I will only use titles for people I respect. Your chosen administrative staff have not respected me as a citizen or a taxpayer, and I will not address them with any title that you've given them. Respect and titles must be earned. Thank you.
I'm not signed up for public comment, but I'm concerned. Mr. Medina drove off in his Columbia River Fire Rescue vehicle, and I'm just concerned that there might be a safety risk of like a disgruntled employee. I'm concerned who has that vehicle right now. So I think that needs to be looked into.
We'll address that. Thank you.
Okay.
Jeff Lockhart, you're next.
I had this whole speech, discussion that I wanted to share with you guys, but it's changed now. I want to thank you for what you just did tonight. I know on behalf of 3215, I'm pretty sure I can share with you that, that we're all relieved and thankful. Director Hudson, you referred to people not having proof, allegations. There's proof sitting right here, right now, about a comment that was made about a male pornography actor. There's proof right there. 3215 did not take anything lightly. Every single one of those bullet points, everyone is documented and verified. We have it on a link, a public link. We posted it on our Facebook. It's there for you to look at any time. We did not take this lightly. We did not do this tongue in cheek. This took hours and hours of investigation and work. So they're more than just allegations.
Chris Booth.
So. My name is Chris Booth. I'll start off by saying September 3rd, 2022, I suffered the worst injury in my life in an accident. Since then, I have been on FMLA and then through sick leave from September 3rd to December 2nd, 2022. Then transferred to long-term disability from December 3rd to current. I was recently notified by the standard that I owed $7,047.58 and that any current or future monthly payments to me would not be paid. Instead, it would go directly to this debt. This was broken down into two payments by the standards recall from the district. The first was $3,369.65 effective November 25th through December 24th. This payment was issued for sick days used from November 25th to December 2nd, prior to going on to long-term disability, December 3rd. The second amount was for $5,039.12, which was the garnished version of the $7,500 stipend we were supposed to have been given on or before December 1st of 2022 per our collective bargaining agreement, another date prior to my December 3rd long-term disability. For July, the standard has garnished my entire monthly pay. The fact that now I'm going through a family hardship, trying to figure out how I'm going to pay bills, put food on the table, all for money earned or intended to be paid out by current collective bargaining agreement prior to December 3rd sickens me. I've attempted to contact multiple people at the standard weeks ago with no reply. I emailed Chief Sanchez last Monday asking for help, as he is the sole person currently in charge of the district's finances. I did receive an immediate reply stating he would investigate this thoroughly and provide an update ASAP. A week later, I've heard nothing as I continued to deal with this financial hardship. I emailed Sanchez yesterday, Monday morning, with no reply. As time went on with no reply, I emailed again. This time he fired back that he offered to help me, even though I circumvented the chain of command. So last night I prepared both a letter to my B shift officers and one to Deanna Bodek at the Standard, both asking for answers on why this money was reported as current wages when it was knowingly prior to December 3rd. I received an email from Chief Cole earlier today stating it was a CRFR policy to relay all payments made to the individual while on long-term disability. I also was informed DC Sanchez attempted to call yesterday on Monday, August 7th, and again today, August 8th, with no luck. So I guess everything is great on admin side, right? They really care about us and want to do what's right. This is my family and I'm going to finish. If that was the case, then why did not DC Sanchez state with the collective bargaining agreement reference that while he was reporting payment made to me, that they were also not only retro, but retro to prior to December 3rd. It seems like that small effort would have dissolved this whole mess. If it was truly the responsibility under law for CRFR to report all payments to the Standard, why wasn't the payment in December reported in January or February? Why, Chief Sanchez? Were they both reported together in May or June? Wasn't that right around the time we had 3 board members elected by the public? Why, Chief Sanchez, was it so easy to get a hold of the Standard to falsely report income earned between December 3rd and now, but so difficult to get a hold of them to rectify the situation? Why, Chief Sanchez, did you confirm on July 31st you would look into this and get back to me ASAP, but acknowledge to BC Cole that August 7th, 1 week after my original request to you, was your initial attempt at contacting the Standard? Well, board members, this is an administration Medina has built. He helped build it with a lackluster vetting process at best. I'm not the only one facing some sort of hardship, financial hardship, through the negative actions from this administration. As all I'm asking for is some legitimate help resolving this matter. However, it seems like with every current issue this department is facing, our administration wants to blame others, make excuses, and do as little as possible to do the right thing. And with that, I would like to thank all of these board members that made the correct decision in voting for the out tonight. Thank you.
Okay, did we have anybody else?
No.
Okay. Local 3215.
Oh, I have. Went on the board previously, have the original vote of confidence. And I also had the amended one with the presumption.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I'm Aaron Strasberg. I'm the president of the IFF Local 3215 St. Helens Professional Firefighters. What you have in front of you is our amendment to our vote of no confidence from April. And I'll just read this entire thing. Members of St. Helens Professional Firefighters IFF Local 3215 vote to express our no confidence in Chief Joel Medina, Chief Eric Smythe, and Chief Jimmy Sanchez's ability to lead our fire district due to their unprofessionalism, conduct unbecoming, inability to responsibly manage district finances, professional incompetence, failed leadership, and gross violation of public trust. The no confidence motion amendment
amends the original no confidence motion and proclamation dated April 10th, 2023, to include additional supporting information about Chief Joel Medina, Jimmy Sanchez, Chief Eric Smythe, and current CRFR board member Gary Hudson. On April 10th, 2023, members of San Luis Professional Firefighters IFF Local 3215 unanimously voted no confidence against Chief Joel Medina, citing 24 reasons, each with supporting documentation, not allegations, documentation if you go back and read it. While this proclamation assisted with educating the public and media about Joel Medina's tyranny over Columbia River Fire and Rescue, current and former CRFR board of directors, Hans Feige, Gary Hudson, Kim McLean, and Mark Kreitzer decided to ignore it. This inaction has proven to be the detriment of the well-being of CRFR employees and district residents. The fact that the CRFR board of directors named above have or did not acknowledge or attempt to correct Joel Medina's behaviors and the behaviors and actions of his assistant, Jimmy Sanchez and Eric Smythe, is disgusting, reprehensible, shows very clear how CRFR leadership feels about their employees. This amendment contains additional information to further document the ongoing and worsening unprofessional, unethical, and disparaging behavior that Joel Medina, Jimmy Sanchez, and Eric Smythe continue to demonstrate. This document further solidifies why the members of Local 3215, as well as several citizens of our fire district, are demanding the termination of Joel Medina, Jimmy Sanchez, and Eric Smythe. Whereas Joel Medina, in public with at least one witness, directly spoke to a firefighter paramedic about his hairstyle, comparing it to the hairstyle of a male pornography actor, which he specifically named. And whereas CRFR single role paramedics incidentally discovered that Jimmy Sanchez incorrectly processed their paychecks by using pay scales other than what was stated in the collective bargaining agreement, despite being made aware of the issue over a month prior. And whereas Jimmy Sanchez and Joel Medina arbitrarily removed half of a firefighter paramedic's sick leave and vacation without cause, violating 3215's collective bargaining agreement. And whereas Jimmy Sanchez and Joel Medina violated Local 3215's collective bargaining agreement and Oregon Bureau of Labor and Industry regulations by arbitrarily withholding half of a former firefighter paramedic's earned income following his resignation. Whereas Jimmy Sanchez, while fulfilling the role of battalion chief, incorrectly criticized a firefighter's job performance and knowledge on a potential hazardous material incident, referring to a non-existent standard operating guidelines and snidely telling the firefighter, and I don't want to have to tell you. Sanchez demonstrated the same behavior he previously criticized on another hazardous materials incident. And during a healthcare committee meeting, Jimmy Sanchez inexplicably ordered Kyle Milton, firefighter in attendance, not to ask questions about healthcare coverage, for which the meeting was about, and threatened discipline if he did. And whereas per Columbia County lawsuit number 23CV14480, Eric Smythe allegedly told a very graphic story about his genitals to 3 female administrative personnel, only to loudly retell the same story to Joel Medina, where they joked about it within earshot of a CRFR employee for approximately 10 minutes afterwards. And Eric Smythe had a grievance filed against him, citing he contributed to a hostile work environment. And Eric Smythe and Joel Medina informed former employee Jennifer Motherway that they were going to eliminate her role as public information officer in response to her filing for a potential Bureau of Labor and Industries claim against CRFR. And Eric Smythe allegedly made a comment referring to seeing the back of Chief Sanchez's head because Sanchez will be giving him a blowjob. And whereas Eric Smythe, being a longstanding healthcare committee member, agreed and admitted to members of Local 3215 that the process to change healthcare benefits had not been followed when the district froze monies related to the district's medical expense reimbursement plan, constituting an unfair labor practice and did not act upon his knowledge. And whereas Eric Smythe promoted Jeremy Leonard to lead in Canada, despite the fact that Leonard did not possess the minimum required National Fire Protection Agency qualifications for the position. And whereas Eric Smythe initiated the disciplinary process on a firefighter paramedic when the district had no existing discipline policy, which Smythe later acknowledged. And whereas it was discovered by review of Jimmy Sanchez's resume and speaking directly to his former employers that Sanchez never assumed the position of acting battalion chief or even as a first level officer, despite proclaiming under oath that he had. Eric Smythe also incorrectly stated that Sanchez was an acting battalion chief in his introductory email to all CRFR personnel. And whereas just prior to beginning arbitration over the line personnel salaries, Jimmy Sanchez and 2 board members admitted that they felt that there was a high likelihood that they were going to lose the arbitration. Said individuals had the option to follow the original CBA, which would have eliminated the need for arbitration, a process which is very time consuming and a large expense to taxpayers. And whereas CRFR has lost or is about to lose several employees who cite Joel Medina, Jimmy Sanchez, Eric Smythe, Gary Hudson, and former board members' poor decision-making and behavior as directly contributing to the toxicity and overall destruction of the district as primary reasons for departure, including a division chief of EMS and a division chief of training with over 65 years of combined experience, 2 battalion chiefs, each with 32 years experience, and a compliance officer and paramedic with over 20 years of experience, and 1 lieutenant paramedic, 11 firefighter paramedics, and 2 firefighter EMTs. You're looking at that much loss. Whereas the departure of so many personnel en masse leaves CRFR and district residents in a dire situation without adequate levels of emergency medical fire suppression services. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the members of the St. Helens Professional Firefighters Association, IAFF Local 3215, again, vote to express our no confidence in Chief Joel Medina, as well as Jimmy Sanchez and Chief Eric Smythe. Their ability to lead our district due to their unprofessionalism, conduct unbecoming, inability to responsibly manage district finances, professional incompetence, failed leadership, and gross violation of public trust. And be it further resolved that the members of Local 3215 again demand that Columbia River Fire and Rescue Board of Directors eliminate Joel Medina. Thank you. And vehemently implore the next CRFR fire chief, interim or permanent, to immediately terminate Jimmy Sanchez and Eric Smythe. Local 3215 members will accept nothing less than the departure of Medina, Sanchez, and Smythe while replacing them with a new fire chief and administration who will better reflect the high standards, integrity, and professionalism that St. Helens professional firefighters, other district employees, neighboring public agencies, and Columbia River Fire and Rescue District residents deserve. And be it further resolved that in reference to case 23CB14480 filed with the Columbia County Circuit Court, all members of Local 3215 find the alleged inappropriate and reprehensible behaviors and or alleged inaction by Joel Medina, Jimmy Sanchez, Eric Smythe, and Kate Leonard, and find Gary Hudson and all former board of directors alleged response to sexual harassment complaints mishandled, reprehensible, disgraceful, and not in line with our members' morals, values, and high regard towards one another and the public we serve. Signed this day, the 4th of August. That's it.
Volunteer report.
My name is Eric Murray. I'm the CRFR Volunteer Association President. I just want to say congratulations to the new board members for being elected. I have a couple things to speak on tonight. The first thing is that last Monday, Carrie Wacker, a 20-year volunteer of this fire department, has resigned. Carrie was a mentor to every single one of us as volunteers, both helping improve our skills as firefighters and helping us spiritually. We wanted to thank Kerry and his family for his years of service and sacrifice to this fire department and this community. He's gonna leave a big hole in this department, that is gonna be very hard to fill. The other topic I wanted to discuss was that the Volunteer Association Board on Monday voted unanimously to support the IAFF Local 3215 and their vote of no confidence. This administration has shown unprofessionalism and disrespect to every member of this department and does not fit the morals and values of our association or the fire service at large. We, the Columbia River Fire and Rescue Volunteer Association, stand with the line staff and the union of this fire district. Thank you.
Nothing. Move on to consent agenda.
I sent you an email today on the consent agenda on the checks first approved tonight. Check number 74.
So before we go there, Rick, we need a motion, a second to approve
Okay.
it. Otherwise, we're gonna skip it.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second,
Second.
all right, so a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Go ahead, Rick.
Okay, we got a list of checks from the Bank of the West, starting with 74,341 through 74,417. But the bank register report that you're given doesn't cover all those checks. It starts at 74,377. So there's a handful of checks that are not on here that say what they're for, or who they're to. I would like to see that, you know, what we're paying.
You have. So I'll apologize for that one, Rick, by using a dinosaur iPad. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So that, I know you sent it to me, that one's on me.
I sent you and to Joel Medina, I sent full this morning.
Okay, so I will follow up with Chief Sanchez and we can get that information out.
I looked at last month's, meeting to see if these were approved in last month. We didn't have a bank register report last month in my packet. So I don't know if they were in that last month or not.
Yeah, I'll defer to you, yeah.
Okay, so the register report is something new that you asked, because the bank statement actually shows what came out of the bank account. So if, for instance, you have a checkbook and you write a check.
Yeah.
And you write it, but then the person that you gave it to decides to cash it 60 days later, it's not gonna show until and that's in that statement. So what you're seeing is actually what came out of Columbia River Fire and Rescue bank account. So if it's not all there in the order, that means that person either didn't cash it, or there's no reason. The check register you guys asked for, and I have, you have it at this board meeting, and that's what you see, everything for the month of July. So you have everything that was done in the month of July now, and you have the bank statement. You can consult whoever you'd like to consult. There's nothing else that we can provide that'll show you any more transparency than that.
Well, if you could just probably a bank register report for last month, maybe. So,
This is the bank register report for last month.
I mean,
So you want before that?
yeah.
Yeah, that's easy to do. I mean, the bank statement you can look at too from the previous board things is exactly every check.
Yeah, I have that. But you gave us that last month. We just didn't have a general ledger to compare with, so.
That was really not hard to do.
Thank you. Any other comments of the record, questions? Yeah, I know. So I had a couple, and I will direct these to either Chief Sanchez or Chief Cole. Was the stuff from Jeff Rose supposed to be in the packet, or is that the separate stuff about with the IT that's in here?
We did have a presentation right for that, but the person that had that information, I did not. So, but I can tell you that we saved a lot of money on utilities. There's money going out everywhere.
I could actually speak on behalf of that a little bit. It's at the
Yeah,
internet.
I'm just reading through the.
That's the
emails.
internet,
It's a
so,
big part of the
Okay.
packet.
Director Niles.
No, go ahead.
So that has to do with, a contractor. And this contractor is what I would call a internet expert. His services are actually free.
Yep.
And he doesn't get paid unless you agree to the services and then
The company's paying.
internet provider, i.e. Comcast or CenturyLink, pay him.
Okay.
So what he did, it was actually, pretty cool, is, he looked at every single one of our internet accounts, the numbers. And there's, it's, harder to, it takes time. And he found that, there was some locations that had two services, without looking at it in front of me, I'm just, don't quote me on it, but for instance, say, the Rainier station had two ports coming in, and I'm not an internet guy, so I'm telling you, blue collar, verbiage here. Anyway, long story short, he was able to cut our internet costs from about $3,600 a month to about $1,500 a month.
And it's not internet and phone.
Yep, and then one of my questions to him, because I sat in on that meeting, was, as an end user, I don't care about all the magic that happens behind the computer, the ports coming in and stuff. I said, does it affect me? Am I gonna notice speed differences and that kind of stuff? Like, you won't notice anything. So it's a good service. I mean, we still had accounts that said Terry Grice.
Goes back a couple of years.
At least 15 years. So, like I said, he's a good contractor and
We've been working with them. We worked on them with the phones as well. So this is something we worked on them.
so it's
Months and months.
like an instant, savings. I mean, it's a no-brainer.
And so nothing we need to do to adopt or approve contract or
No,
anything like that?
utility.
It's it'd be just like, it's,
Those are the utilities.
right,
Okay.
but it's a good thing.
No, sounds good. Thank you.
It was just an FYI.
Any other questions on the consent agenda? Hearing none, we have a motion and second on the floor to approve consent agenda. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? All right, chief officer's report. Anyone want to take a stab at that? Moving on then. Business, St. Mel Station restroom repair. Got any updates on that?
Yes, right.
Okay. Moving on. Under new business, we have, a new medical director contract resolution. we need to
Yep,
approve.
that's fine.
Okay.
So EMS medical director contract, we're, switching from, Dr. Dean Sasek to, Dr. Jenna Wiley. Since we're doing a switch, the group that oversees this and it's, other EMS leadership in the county, Plattskanai, Scappoose, Miss, and Columbia River, we all work together to, oversee the doctor and come up with the contract. So we thought that it would be appropriate, take a look at the contract and, make some changes. And I'm just gonna take a minute to go over the changes that we made. And this was a group decision. So one of the first, changes we made, and you're gonna go, wow, I can't even believe that was in the last contract. But, item 5, and I didn't come up with this original contract, so Slater Messenger. But, and we're eliminating it. We have to provide the contractor, which is the doctor, with the vehicle for use in performing the activities associated with duty command. Or like, they don't do that, so that one got eliminated. Then there were some housekeeping ones, so since that one got eliminated, The other ones below it moved up, so 6 became 5. You know, and so on, you know, everything bumped up. The other change in 2015, we were paying the doc, 41,500. And that's combined. That's just not CRFR. It's combined. There's been no increases, since 2015. So to keep up with, times, the increase or the contractor services is gonna go to 45,652. 8 years, I did quick math. It's less than, 2%. I mean, you be the numbers guy, but, less than 2% a year, that it went up. And it's still, we're getting a good deal for a dock. I mean, this is a really good deal. The other change, and I've got one that's redlined. So the other change, and this is just concerning just, fair and equitable usage, okay? Since 2015, CRFR, our usage just went up, okay? And we determined that number by call volume predominantly, and just, usage like how often we gotta call the dock and stuff. So there's a little bit of subjectiveness in it. So our old usage was 48%. This is just us. We're gonna go up to 55%. Not a big jump, but a realistic jump. That's percentage of calls countywide. We run the most of them, so we are gonna pay the most. The monthly for us, with the 2015 contract was 1660. That was the monthly, no union. 1,660 a month, and it's gonna go up to 2,092 a month, and that's within budget. It's still reasonable for the amount of usage that we use. And then the last change that happened, and what we're trying to do is avoid that, they haven't had a raise since 2015. We put some automatic language in there that, section 13, the term of this agreement shall be 1 year with automatic extensions, with the exception that the rate of compensation being increased with CPIU. CPIU will be a minimum of 2% with a cap of 4%. So if cost of living is 8%, the most we're gonna pay is 4%. On 45,000, 4% isn't a whole lot in 1 year. And again, to have the physician's services, 45,000 a year is cheap. So of the 45,000, CRFR is gonna be paying $25,107.50 a year is what it costs us. So, and again, that's $2,000 a month. And that's pretty much all the changes. Like I said, thanks to Chief Palsy, Chief Marks, and Mist as well. So if there's a resolution before you, if you're happy with the contract, I'd appreciate a motion and a second to pass it. Again, it's a good deal. If you have any more questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
So you guys already, it's all agreed throughout the county already?
Well, I can't speak on behalf of the other boards.
It had been, but all the EMS directors.
But all the EMS directors seem, they didn't say that, they had no, they didn't say that they didn't think it was gonna pass.
Awesome. Yeah, you guys all came up.
We're all in agreement.
Yeah, we're all in agreement together. So, once, we all agreed, the next step was each individual supposed to go to our boards, and I can only assume that Scott Boostcott's gonna, Mist are gonna do the same.
I think we're usually the first one out of the gate.
Pretty much, but, and then it would go into effect, technically, September 1st.
Okay.
Any questions?
We have a motion. I make a motion that we approve resolution FY 23-24-01.
Second.
Going for a second. Any further questions? Hearing none, all in favor? All opposed? Okay, and then next is, I don't think we're in the actual part, but we have the, certified. Oh, we need it. And that's all it is, the civil service certified list.
So,
Just information only.
Information only. I was assigned to be lead on the Civil Service Commission, just like the staff go to. Attended their last meeting. There's there was 2 new members, and then we have a third new member that was just attended his first meeting last month. Ricky Laniers, he's the manager of Grocery Outlet here in St. Helens. The things that we're working on is they did certify a list, and this is the list that NTN gives us. I can't speak on behalf of, what they're doing with the list. I'm just in charge of making the list. But again, there's 8 people on the list. None of them have been contacted for interviews or anything like that yet. Yeah, I'm not in charge of that. And then the other thing that the members are working on is redoing the civil service rules. And they're taking a deep look at them. I mean, they just got some preliminary ones. There's a lot of technical stuff that needs to happen. Like, since we're going by ourselves, there was a lot of verbiage in there that was said, referenced scapus and platskani, so a lot of that's getting removed. Other than that, the meeting was fairly uneventful.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions on that? All right. And here's a copy of it if you want to see it.
Now let's see the packet.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All right, board member comments. Rick, let's start with you.
Tough meeting tonight. Don't think we did the right thing. It was very, very hard decision. Going what we've been told, but that's all I have to say.
I think that, probably should, meet on a bi-monthly basis, in my opinion, so we kind of get up to speed on following through with contract negotiation, that would be a question I still like to get answered. Hopefully the questions will follow through on that one.
Yeah, let's, have a conversation with him, before we throw that on this plate.
I have to go back here. Policies. Can we get copies of policies? Since we're supposed to be overseeing policies, we have not seen any kind of policy.
Yeah, I will reach out to, Mike tomorrow. That's the part C.
First off, I'd like to, make sure that we acknowledge Terry Western's service. He's done that, so I don't know. For the kids together for that, setting. I guess my idea is that I think we should be through there. I would, like to make note that, one of the Chinese persons there, because they live in interesting times. Certainly, certainly fits the bill. I'd like the board to direct, Chief Gorsuch to review the chain of command, both with, line staff and educate us as well. Yes, so we all have a good understanding of what chain of command, is. And then I guess the last thing I would like people to think about, because I heard something that, I really would love to engage, but it's not really appropriate as I was a board member, but I would like to mention that, one of the tenets that I always tried to manage by was to, praise in public and coach variety of methods to coach in private. And so accusations that you make about counseling or coaching are kind of without merit. And I can say that because I was the one doing the coaching. And for those few of you out there that had the opportunity to be coached by PC Hudson, you know that the coaching can be pleasant as well as unpleasant. Most of the coaching I probably delivered on this one was probably unpleasant, but necessary and really well received. But not necessarily acknowledged by others. That's it for me.
Yeah, I agree with you. Rick. That's easy. This is not, there's gonna be some more, tough times here before this gets better. But we just, we opened up another can of worms in my gut. That being said, we're gonna move forward. There was a decision made. We're going to move forward with that decision. That or 2036.
Yes, I